Yes, there is no bananas. There are no bananas today. Well, this is going to be fun. See if we can get this. There we go. I'm here. I'm live. I'm not dead yet, but I'm alive. Yes, the word dysfunctional is defined by me. People love to hurl insults. Let's give you some backstory, shall we? I give too much rental space in my head. I don't know why I give free rent, because of the simple fact that expenses of life has gone up. I should at least charge people, right? Things tend to bother me more than some people. Not everybody. I tend to be a sensitive guy. Now, it's been said that redheads tend to be more sensitive to sun, too much light, acidic and spicy foods. We tend to be more sensitive emotionally. But let's factor in the fact I was adopted at 4 months of old, so bond ripping was going on. And not only was I put up for adoption, but at 4 months of age, I was thrust into a family that leaned over the crib puffing and puffing cigarettes. That didn't help. I was allergic to cigarettes, and nobody would even begin to realize that until years later. And my mother was extremely selfish in her addiction to cigarettes. Women tend to be, when they're addicted to something, they'll project that everybody else has got a problem. I've known this about female alcoholics. Alcoholic women are the worst. Everybody else is wrong, not them. My mother was a smoker, a chronic smoker. She knew at an early age I had allergies. But the problem was my mother associated my reaction to everything was a food allergy. She used the term flibbity-gibbet. My mother came up with strange and bizarre terminologies. She used to call my sister Bean Waddle, and she used to call me Magilla Gorilla. I don't remember what she used to call my cousin Wallab or Wallaby. She, in many ways, was childish. Not the kids, but she would read things into things. My mother would say she had a license plate that said Gummy, Gummi, because she very much favored her natural born daughter's kids. When the natural born sister, who's 6 years older than me, moved to Minnesota, my parents went and bought a minivan, and they took my adopted sister, not adopted by the same family as me, her kids, and did a cross-country trip, and, went up to see. And in the 5 years I lived in Duluth, my parents never came to visit me, and I approached that. And the comment was made by my mother, well, you didn't have a house. Oh, is that what it was? I didn't own my own home. It's funny, I've owned my own home for 6 years and nobody came to see me, but that's okay. It wouldn't have been a pleasant visit. Many times in my life, I feel like I have failed miserably. I wasn't good at relationships with women for the simple reason I didn't have a good modeling. And this is one of the biggest problems in American culture today, a lack of modeling. Years ago, I was at the National Western Stock Show, and I met a lady who was selling a Becca curriculum. The guy at work that I do not care for went to a Christian school, I think only in grade school. I don't even know if he's saved. It's very hard to tell. one of the most boring human beings I've ever met, and yet he's got a very high amount of arrogance. He's got a broken down, dilapidated truck. He has a couple roommates in his property, doesn't pay his property taxes, has a donkey, has some animals, and he doesn't do an honest, hard day's work in any of the time I've worked there. He's very childish. He's very rude. He likes to walk and BS and walk and BS, complain about all the work he has to do. What I don't understand is why the company keeps him on. Just me busy, as he's 50 feet away from me or less than that. What does he do over there all day? He loves to train people and stand and talk to them. He doesn't model a damn thing. He'll stand in one place and wobble. When I ask him a question, he acts like a biatchy woman. So I try to unpack that. Was this guy raised by a real man? The hints are showing probably not. Probably raised by a domineering mother like me. But I'm more man than he is. I'm sure if he saw my channel and saw the way I dressed, he would have all kinds of hatred and venom and spew. I don't care. I've lived all my life in this society where everything was about college degrees, how you dressed, what you wore, what car you drive, what kind of house you live in, your kids graduated valedictorian. Who gives a rat's patootie? Then there's me. I got saved in 1985. I became a Christian. People come on my channel, leave scripture verses telling me I need to get saved. I'm glad they just make an automatic assumption that I'm headed to hell. It's this right here. In fact, I might go to the store this morning and just wear this. I've gotten to a point in society where I do care what people think and I don't care. It's this battle of dichotomy. I'm very dysfunctional and yet high functioning dysfunctional. I remodeled my whole house by myself and I'm still working on it. And I hit mental impasses on this place. And when I hit a mental impasse, I put stuff away and I say, not today. And then something comes to me and I'm like, a light turned on. I attribute that to God. My mother and I never had a good relationship. She's languishing away somewhere in Arizona in her 80s. She has not made an attempt to reach out to me. She's never made an attempt to say, I am sorry. The scars that come from that, we hear all on and on about. We got a whole month devoted to breast cancer awareness. Now, I like breasts. I cannot lie. I am fascinated by the diversity of breasts. I think God did an outstanding thing with breasts. So I have compassion for women for breast cancer, but much ado is made in our society about women, and little is made about men. And I've said very openly on here that most men are dysfunctional a-holes, and they don't see it. They think every man I met, they think they're the definition of what it is to be what it is. I see men hiding behind guns, their liquor, their twuck. I see society on a secular level as, I got a degree and I got this much in the bank, and everything is defined by temporal circumstances. And I am an intellectual. Am I an Einstein? Do I have a high IQ? I'm not an Einstein. Do I have a high IQ? I don't know. I've never taken an IQ test. I read some of the questions. Have you ever read some of the questions about an IQ test? They have nothing to do with anything. And that's our determining factor for intelligence. Why? Who set the standard? Intelligence to me is defined by the ability to hear something somebody says and think for yourself and say, this is right or this is wrong, and here's why. Most Americans don't have that skill today, especially when they get behind the wheel of a vehicle. Look at the rise in road rage. You can go to college, you could have the greatest job, you could be pulling down six-digit figures. Do they drive any better than the gangster in the hood? Not at all. They don't obey the speed limit. They chase each other, honk, flip each other off. But he's wearing a suit and tie. I've seen it unfold before my eyes. I was going down Hampton Avenue in the 90s in Denver in my bus. And I saw a pickup truck. I don't know what was going on. It was a Chevy pickup, older model, and a light green four-door Honda car. And they were playing grab ASS with each other. And one honked, the other guy flipped him off. And then the car cut around in front of him and the truck rear-ended him. And then the truck pulled around him and took off. All this, I'm watching out my windshield. I'm like, look at these fools. And the light turns and I go. And I get up to a stoplight. And I got my turn signal on and this car is honking at me. This truck from the left lane turns right in front of my bus to get away. And this guy's honking and honking. I'm like, what, dude? I can't go. And as soon as I go, I turned and pulled over, and that car rocketed chasing the pickup. Thought this is going to be a fun day. Back of his car all smashed, and he's trying to chase him down to get information. People aren't afraid anymore. They're not afraid to just shoot somebody, smear them, dox them. It's a crazy world. And people ask me, they leave comments on my channel, and they go, what happened to you that you wear this and dress like this? Is it really defined like that? I suppose maybe it is. I didn't grow up with a well-adjusted family. I grew up with an overweight dad who smoked. When he was off, he laid on his belly watching football, smoking cigarettes, eating guacamole and bean dip and chips, and drinking his beer. My dad was what I call a one-dimensional man. If you were to look inside my mind, it would be like a video arcade. Pinball machine, ting, 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 bing, bing, all the lights. And the guy I work with reminds me a lot of the bad side of my dad. Or a lot of men I see. He's a butt kisser. Management comes around. Oh, hi. I ask him a question and he talks rudely, almost to the tone of a woman. And a guy like that would judge me for dressing like that. And I'd turn around and say, at least I'm not a walking vagina like you. I am fully man. Push my buttons. You'll find out real quick. You can't even move as fast as me. He treats me like I'm some youngster and I'm 6 years older than him. You ever been around guys like that? They think that they're older and wiser than everybody and they're children. I've seen it all my life. But I give too much rental space to this clown. And I went to my supervisor because right in front of him, this clown displayed his hostility. I had looked for a part, and he gets off on this. Where he works, he keeps shoving parts in like 4 decks of ProMades. There's so much shit in there that you'll spend an hour digging through it to find one little thing. And I've got so much to do. I'll look. I think I looked through half of it. Look for a brake chamber diaphragm. And I'm like, shoot, I don't got time for this. I'm going to come back to this. And I went to my supervisor and I said, he goes, we don't have any more of these. And clown walks on. Yes, we do. I just saw it. It's right there. I said, well, would you like to get it for me? Because I just looked in there yesterday, at least half the bin. I didn't look through the whole thing and I didn't see it. And he walks over very arrogantly. See, there it is. You know, even in me, something wants to go, hey, dude, incoming. Why are you so arrogant? You work in the back of a warehouse. Nobody wants to work with you. Everybody quits. You get into it with everybody. You had one guy back there that was on crack and failed drug test after drug test. He's gone, but he worked. And he was a goofball. And you never said anything about him. And then you're telling me you're kind of weird. I should have said, you know, that's offensive, especially coming from you. I'm amazed that I actually meet people in America that think that they are the definition of a man, of a Christian, of a this, of a that. And you look at their life and people get on me about my clothing. I don't go out in society and treat people like that. I don't drive through town going like this to other people. When somebody asks me a question at work and they're decent, I answer them respectfully. But this clown pays $50 a month for the company uniform. It is not mandatory because I don't do it. I bought my own slacks. And it's cheaper to buy, 5 pairs of slacks for $20 for $100 and wash them than, $600 a month or $600 a year for why? I noticed that. The guys that buy the uniforms are the butt kissers, the please the management type, and be an a-hole to the rest of us. Isn't that what corporate America is all about? Isn't that what dressing for success is all about? When you're wearing a suit and tie, there's a certain assumed intimidation factor that you're a professional. Nobody's going to take me seriously walking into a boardroom dressed like this. And yet I could have all the mental acuity and resources to run a Fortune 500 company better than these clowns and treat people better than they do. And the only way anybody would listen to me dressed like this is if I did start a grassroots company and was successful and made Forbes and made the top business magazines. Forbes would have to put me on the front cover. And businessmen go, what the hell is this? Now it's woke on Forbes. Nope, he's not woke. He shatters the corporate stereotype. What would happen if somebody did that? You remember Gateway? The cow pattern. 2 college boys in their garage were rebuilding computers. Highly successful. You don't hear about them anymore. I'd like to know what happened to those guys. Very smart, innovative. You want to know who made a lot of money? I don't remember the artist's name, but the Garage Band. I'm too sexy for my shirt. No producers, no backers. Some of the best music in America comes out of a garage. But because the producers don't get behind it, said we got to be subject to Britney Spears, Katy Perry, and Taylor Swift, and country, and most of the rap and crap that's garbage. It's absolutely garbage. I'm sorry if I stepped on your toes, but most of today's music is for fruitcakes. It will not last as long as what has already lasted. 100 years from now, I challenge you to find anybody who's going to be listening to most of this guttural rap music or this Taylor Swift, Katy Perry. I mean, it's auto-tune. You go back to great bands and they stand the test of time. You go further than that into classical music, Dvorak, Rachmaninoff, Mendelssohn, Tchaikovsky, Mussorgsky, and you get into some Beethoven, and you get into that, timeless. There's no quality. Nobody thinks of antiques. Nobody thinks of mansions, beautiful old world mansions, or the inside of the Titanic with rap. No one is ever going to listen to ghetto music and associate that with crystal chandeliers and fancy woodwork. Nobody. Music conjures up an image. And we got a generation raised on Grand Theft Auto and violent video games and violent, hateful, racial epithet, N-word laced music. And people judge the hell out of me. Black people are the most mystifying group of people to me in America today. They get angry when a white person says the N-word, but they use it all the time. They sing it. They call each other that. They even break it into semantical BS. Well, we don't say N-I-G-G-E-R. We say N-I-G-G-A. Oh, it's the versus the The versus the The versus the Boom, ooh. Boom, tribalistic. Here we go. The reasoning behind that is so fallacious, so ridiculous, that you just proved a point. You're using the very word that your race despised, that whites used to refer to. Now it's in vogue. But if somebody who's white says it, it's automatically racism. But if a black guy says it, it's not. You expect me, as a Caucasian male, no matter how I dress, to take you seriously? You're out of your effing mind. You got caught with your pants down. Oh, that's right. And many of them have their pants down. Did you see me with my butt crack and my underwear hanging out? I love it how people come on my channel. Somebody put Frygay, another clown, he was reported. And when you guys leave hateful comments and people report those, I think you get a few of those and they'll pull your ID. You'll have to make another ID to get on. And another email. And people will spend 10 minutes now. Actually, I had it at 5 minutes on the live stream. You had to be on 5 minutes before you could become a subscriber. And they wait 5 minutes to leave a stupid comment. And some will wait 10 minutes. I said, wow, look at the determination. I got too much selfishness in me to spend 10 minutes listening to somebody just to leave a dumb comment. I'm like, this is crap. I'm out. Pull the plug, flush the handle. I've gotten to a point in my life. I live in a 53% black community. I do not hate blacks, but I've come up with the following takeaways, and they just are self-evident. At my workplace, we got a guy that's 63, 62, 63. He looks a lot older than I do. He's angry all the time. Profanity's flying. He hasn't been nice to me since day one. I've never done anything to him. And he runs forklifts and he drives the yard truck for pulling the trailers around. And yesterday, and I did turn him in for this, the guy's a jerk. He'll say hello to all the brothers and the sisters. Hey, how you doing? I'll say good morning. He will look right at me and ignore me. The other day he sneezed. I said, bless you. I saw his new vehicle getting towed. I said, what happened? And that day he said, oh, the engine seized up. It's brand new. I didn't bother to ask if he checked the oil or anything. So he's gone for 3 days. He came in, I said, hey, how's it working out with the... Oh, don't you worry about that. You don't need to worry about that. I'm not worried about a damn thing. I'm just making conversation and being nice. Well, you don't need to worry about that. I was fired from a job after having been employed there 6 years. Drove the buses, rode the buses, repaired the bus seats. I worked summer. I worked year round down there. And I was fired because I did a video of a woman that was not stabbed, but beaten profusely by 6 African Americans in Cincinnati. And I described them as being savage because it was a savage attack. I said that in the video that, excuse me, forgive me for it's allergy season in Augusta. So I said in there that the comment was made that somebody said the N-word. That woman never said it. In fact, I played back, or I watched news. I didn't I didn't see it anywhere. There's people coming out of a jazz festival and the local unquality street people were hanging out and decided to go into a frenzy and attack people. And I said on the video, I said, so if somebody did yell the N-word, so what? You say it all the time. You sing about it. I said, get a grip. You can dish it out, but you can't take it. You can say it, you can sing it, but you can't take it when somebody of a different ethnicity uses it. I don't use it. I've never supported the N-word in its what the blacks call justifiable form or the unjustifiable form. I find it interesting that Japanese, Asians, Mexicans don't refer to each other on a racial epithet basis. Only black people do. They use the word that they did not invent, that had a stigma. Some people say it actually means ignorant. But it was always a racial slur to the black community. Black culture drenches itself in it. And the kids say it on the bus, and you ride it up, and the administration, which is black, they don't do anything. I had a black girl in Denver, the only one on a middle school route in the afternoon. She'd light it up in there. 71 kids on that bus. And I heard her, I'm seating the kids because I had assigned seating and girls in the back, boys in the front, and she yelled the N-word at somebody, Nigger, and I said, excuse me, we don't talk like that on here. Oh, it's okay, mister, I'm black. I said, that has nothing to do with it. We don't use that word on this bus. But I'm black. Let me get this straight. A word that you'll beat up a white girl, a white boy for saying, but you can fling it out there. What is going on up here? Is the bell housing between the engine and the transmission busted? Is the torque converter, the clutch out? Because something is not transmitting. And I don't care what any black person in America says. You using that word is wrong as it is for anybody else. Class is now in session. I don't want to hear about Black History Month. I don't want to hear any more about Rosa Parks in the back of the bus and refusing to sit in the back. I'm tired of it. Or Dr. King. I've watched within my lifetime this group of people vote in people. Raphael Warnock in Georgia. What's her name? Oh, I can't even think of her name. Jasmine Crockett. What a name. And that other one, that older black woman down there in Washington. Why am I drawing a blank on her name? They are head cases. Everything revolves around a racial carousel with them. They're an alt universe. And I spent a considerable amount of time and years working with the Black community, and racism is just so much a part of their culture. By racism, meaning that they think it's still going on, that we as whites don't and can't understand, implying that they're superior to us on intellect. And I've always said nobody's superior to anybody, racially speaking. Though there are pattern recognitions. You can look at Asians and they're extremely intelligent. They excel in school studies above others in math and sciences, and you cannot say that about African American culture. Statistically, you can't say that. Now, that's not to say that there aren't blacks. I saw the movie Hidden Figures. You had some black women back in the day come up with the trajectory to get to the moon. I could never have figured that out. I'm going to say it. No contest. Not the NASA big shots, but black women came up with the trajectory. So for anybody to think that a race is superior, that's wrong. How is it those black women knew? I don't know, but God gave them an ability. How come we weren't told that? Because at the time this happened, nobody wanted to dare admit that a black person came up with something huge. Racism did exist in this country. It was an awful, pardon the expression, black eye on America. But racism exists in every country in the world. I know, I lived in Hong Kong. The Chinese consider the Filipino population the cockroaches of Asia. The cockroaches of Asian culture. Isn't that nice? When I was in Hong Kong Chinese could not stand mainland Chinese. They said it to my face. I was on the ferry coming from Lantau, from Mui Wa. I commuted to Hong Kong every day on the ferry. I love that. 45 minutes out at sea, South China Sea, watching ships and sitting on the stern. Loved it. And there was a tall Chinese respectable man. I'd see that the regular commuters get on the ferry every day. He'd always go upstairs and sit. He come downstairs one day and he had a disgusted look, and he looked at me and pointed to the upper deck and he said, Chinese, eh ho, eh ho. I started laughing. I said, what? They had a Silver Mine Beach Resort hotel on the island. I walked past it every day to get to the ferry. And a bunch of mainlanders came down as a tour group. He said, you know, Michael, I sit down, they sit on me, they bang into me, they don't say excuse me, they spit on the sidewalk in public. He says, you go up there to mainland China, they piss outside the restaurant. He said, they're stupid. Racism is everywhere. And unfortunately, you can always tell when there's a toddler in the room. You can always tell when there's a toddler in the church service. Pastor's up there preaching, everything's going good. And we have that problem right here in America. Everything seems to be going okay. And somebody's got to get attention. And it's always that group over there. Cops arrest and pull people over every day of the year. And nobody's videotaping all of them. But when you have the toddler of the group got caught doing something they shouldn't have done, all the video cameras are out, all the news agencies are alerted, sound the 5 alarm fire bells. Racism! My gosh, we've been trained to see what kicks this into gear. It's real. It's a dynamic you cannot ignore. Now, here we go with another round of riots and downtown destruction and free TVs. I'm sick of it, man. Yeah, I'm dysfunctional as all get out. But this works. Don't worry about my clothes. Nobody seemed to mind when Tyler Perry dressed like a woman and makeup. Oh my gosh. Nobody cared. Why? He made a lot of money on that gig. But me on my YouTube channel doing this, boy, I get this one all the time. All the time. If I can get to the right book, that'll help. Excuse me, I am a pig. That was a good belch, too. A woman. Now they never quote this part of the verse. And we're gonna camp on this for a minute. Get your North Face tent out. Get your land end gear and your fanny packs and your backpacks and your Subaru Outbacks with your kayaks on, because we're gonna stop and set up campsite. Okay. A woman should not wear man's clothing. They never quote that to me. They go past the comma. Nor shall a man put on a woman's clothing. For whoever does these things is an abomination to the Lord your God. They never quote this one right after it. If you happen to come upon a bird's nest along the way, in any tree or on the ground with young ones or eggs with the mother sitting on the young or on the eggs, you shall not take the mother with the young. Why is this so important? The birds. You shall certainly let the mother go, but the young you may take for yourself, in order that it may be well with you and that you may prolong your days. Wow, the way you treated a bird nest would prolong your life? But me dressing is an abomination? But hold on, this gets better. I love these Christians or non-Christian religious people that don't know the whole Bible, don't know that they need Jesus as Lord and Savior. And this one, they never quote this. Imagine a world if we lived by this right here. Imagine what it would have been like to be a school bus driver, a teacher, a cop, or a parent if we followed this today. Imagine this. If there is anyone who curses his father or his mother, he shall surely be put to death. He has cursed his father or his mother, his blood guiltiness is upon him. Everybody's worried about the way Michael dresses, but they're silent about these disrespectful, hateful, foul, self-centered, narcissistic, entitled teens today. They're in the church I go to. They're all around us. I'm so sick of hearing this. Christ makes the difference. I don't see it, but it's not Christ's fault. You look close at my life, you're not always going to see the Christ difference because we're human. But there's been an erosion over the years, a deep erosion, that today's Christian culture doesn't even seem to know what sin is anymore. Did you know that living, shacking up with your girl or your man, moving them into your house and sharing the same bed is a violation of the Old and New Testament? People are so passé about that. But then you got Christian women who'll say, oh, I won't date a man who masturbates. And those same Christian women will have premarital sex. Huh. Masturbating is worse than trying out the used car. Okay. Cute. Nice. See, I talk about what I believe. I talk about my discrepancies. I talk about my flaws. Am I dysfunctional? You bet your bippy. So is everybody else. But what I find as I've aged and as I've traveled in and out of different cultures, lived in Hong Kong, lived in Hispanic culture, I've noticed something. You got a group of people in this country, constitutes about 43 million, okay? That the majority of them, they cannot do this right here. They cannot do this. They cannot do what I do every day. They can't do it. Let's do an illustration that makes sense. They cannot do this right here. They cannot look in this mirror and face their own damn self and be honest. They can't do it. Instead, they think they're the top. That we whites are dumb. That we whites don't understand. That we whites don't have a culture. That we whites are privileged. And they believe a lot of stuff. It's not only a fallacy, but it's an outright lie. If you think that I'm going to be quiet and not talk about white, black, Asian, Mexican, male, female, God, atheist, evolution, science, quasi-science, pseudoscience, or any issue, if you think I'm going to shrink back, you're full of cheese whiz, man. I'll tell you something. I have looked at myself every day. People get on my channel and say, this guy lacks self-awareness. Really? I know exactly what I'm doing. People come on my channel and call me a pedophile. Do you got any proof of that, clown? That's slander. I'm watching the Democrats in America. They've been doing this for quite a while now, and it's getting worse. They hate Trump so much that it's a form of total derangement. Trump's got his problems. I totally believe that. He does. But they act like their party never sins. That just blows me away. You got to be kidding me. You think Biden was good? You think Obama was good? You know why Obama won the presidency? It's not because he was qualified. It's not because he had anything. He didn't win the presidency because he was full of character and integrity. He won the presidency based on his skin color. The very thing that Martin Luther King spoke out against. I guess that was lost on his own people many, many years ago. I mean, if you were to quote Martin Luther King's speech today and change it to 2026 based on what's been happening since the civil rights movement, since blacks have gotten their way, since they become governors and mayors and presidents and politicians, and they're not being discriminated against like they were. And I listen to people all around me to this day, black people every day, that they always circle back to racism. I can't sit in the break room the other day and they're talking about, oh yeah, the cops follow me, the cops this. Okay, here we go. Yep. Everything is about, you think the whole world's against you because you're black. I find more people dating blacks today than ever before. I find that blacks and whites move and groove together more than ever before. But guess what? Let's go back to the scriptures. People want to quote about my dress. They want to quote about a lot of things. Can you imagine if we put to death children when they curse us? What a world it would be. I guarantee you, if you want to stop a problem, we don't need committees and task force. What we need is men and women that say, we're done with this crap. And we don't have that with parents today. You spank your child, you could get jailed. Child Protective Services can get called. It's pretty daunting and intimidating today. And it's sobering to realize that your rights are being taken away more and more and more. That the Democrat left is the one that's against disciplining your children. The Democrat left that runs and operates our public education system. The National Endowment of the Arts. You remember when they had arts, a picture portraying somebody peeing on the crucifixion, crap like that. Like, really? And a lot of people come on my channel, see the way I'm dressed, and make all kinds of bold, broad brush statements. He's woke, he's gay, he's trans, are you a cross-dresser? No, I'm not a cross-dresser. You see me wearing a cross? Sometimes I do. Mike, you know what I mean? No, I don't. I don't. The only time I use the word trans is transatlantic or transcontinental. The only time I use the cross is that guy was cross with me today, or the cross of Christ. I love the terminology that a dumb world around us has a cross-dresser. What does that even mean? No, sometimes I wear feminine style. Sometimes like this, I create my own Mowgli Jungle Book style. And in a society that is becoming more interested in being like the CCP than being free, they don't like it when you don't wear a suit and tie, don't go to college, drive the right car, have a certain amount of money in the bank. They don't like it. They don't like a man who will stand up to a pretty woman and say, you know what, you're beautiful, but you're wrong. And that's why most men don't. YouTube and the internet was the first place that men and people like me could have a voice. There was no group advocates for men who suffered abusive mothers. We did not ever have a support group. And women come along and say, this guy's got issues. I love how many women say he has anger management issues. Honey, hang around me. I'll poke that button. And I'll find that you got anger management issues too. Especially when you tune into my channel and hear some of the things I'm about to say. Woo, you're going to get mad. He criticized me because he said women that love their dogs too much are mentally disordered. Yep, I did. I own it. I'll even buy a t-shirt that says it and wear it right through Augusta. Actually, I'd like to go to Colorado and wear that. That'd really get them peed off. You know, the SUV thing. There's a guy got on YouTube and he said SUVs are stupid. He said they drive, people that own them drive them terribly, and there's a mentality that goes with the SUV crowd. I've seen it. I drove for a living, and I learned more about American people by watching out the windshield of a school bus than I ever would have learned in a sociological class. People are idiots on the road. It doesn't matter if you're a conservative. Doesn't matter if you're a Christian. Doesn't matter if you got rainbow flags all over the back of your car. Doesn't matter if you got dog paw and tail wipers on the back of your Nissan Pathfinder. Yeah, my vehicle finds the path. Or let's name it a tree. The Toyota Sequoia. And the dumbest name of all goes to the Prius. I'm sorry, anybody who wants to tell me that a Prius was a good car. Somebody said, what if they gave you one free? I would put it up for sale. Lowball. Give me the money. I'm not driving that thing. No. What if they gave you a Tesla? I don't have a charging station. I'd sell it. Bye. See ya. Don't want it. You know what? I do have problems. I am dysfunctional. I have not met very many people in 60 years of my life that I would consider the definition of well-adjusted. And I'm going to tell you where it starts. It starts right here. Starts right in the driver's seat of your automobile. I ride with people sometimes, and it scares the crap out of me. That's why I ride with people less and less. You cannot drive right. You cannot follow the rules of the road. I don't care what you believe. I don't care how many degrees you have. I don't care if you got a Lamborghini, a Maserati, or a Bugatti, or anything else. I don't care if you're driving a hearse. If you cannot and will not follow the rules of the road and show respect to other motorists and let people merge when they're using their signal, you are an idiot. I don't care if you own the highest corporation in the land. I look at Jeff Bezos. Everybody loves Jeff Bezos because he started Amazon. I don't like Jeff Bezos. I'm not a fan of him. And I'll tell you, the reason is because the model of Amazon is disgusting. It's killing America. We are living in a country, and I'm watching it happen here in Augusta. You got places like Kimberly-Clark, Kellogg's, Starbucks plants, all these plants, and you got shift rotation. You got to work 4/12s, and then in 3 months they slam you from the day shift to the night shift, then to the graveyard. What kind of corporate people would do this to people? You're not allowed to go to a job and enjoy yourself anymore. You're a freaking slave. You work 4 days at 12 hours. It's going to take the next 3 to recuperate. Because these factories, you're not sitting on your butt like this clown in front of a computer and standing there like this all day. I wouldn't give him more than $10 an hour. He doesn't even earn that. Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Here I am. And I had a black guy telling me that. He said, I worked at Kimberly-Clark. He said, I can't handle the shift rotation. He said, most of the people that work at these factories get burnt out. Well, Amazon is the king of that. They got these damn quotas that are just stifling. When I worked at transportation, a lot of, I'm going to be honest with you, overweight black women said, I'm tired of the board, and they went over to Amazon. They weren't there 2 months. They came flying back into the bus. And I noticed after they'd been back a year, they gained on even more weight. They come in after routes. They buy Bojangles and all the fried stuff. Now, I have a friend in Cleveland, Ohio, who works for Amazon from time to time. The good thing is, you don't have to give 2 weeks notice. You can quit. You can reapply. As long as you didn't get fired for something that crosses the major lines, they'll take you. But at the same time, Amazon does not encourage longevity. Gone are the days in America, whether it's Kellogg's, Kimberly-Clark, Starbucks, any of these places. They don't care about giving you a quality job. What has happened with business has happened to women. Women don't have to be ladies anymore. Ladies don't have to vie or compete for the attention of males. We men have to get our game on just to get a date with a decent looking woman. And even then, you still can't. So America's drowning in gayism and transism and LGBTism and every letter added in between the alphabet. And marriages are failing. And then you get saved, you become a Christian, you go to church. You look at the marriages in church. They are as boring as a box of rice cakes that have the following ingredients. Rice. No salt, no butter, no almond paste, no cinnamon, nothing. And the church wants to say that The marriage bed is undefiled. And God favors marriage. And you got two miserable people sitting in church, and you look at their life, and it's like, you know what? I'd rather sharpen my teeth by eating red bricks used for house construction than do that. Dad has a classic car, which he goes on and on about. Wife, before Pier 1 went out, she's filling her house with Pier 1 crap. And you just don't see passion. Then you got me. Been married 3 times because I didn't choose well. I did the best I could. I wasn't perfect. I was married 14 years to one, and she was the worst of the 3. One was a Filipino in Hong Kong. The other 2 were white women in the States. All 3 of them claimed to have a profession of faith in Christ. All 3 of them did not make good wives at all. One was childish and played with Barbies and burned the food and wanted to do nothing. That was the first one. The second one was the 14-year marriage. She wanted to talk and make baby noises when you tried to have sex. And I never made love with her. We had sex, but we never made love. I never made love with a woman until I went overseas. There's a difference, and it's not just psychosomatic. I have a dysfunction in that when people get to me, it eats up the inside of my brain. I try to figure it out. I want to teach them. I want to change them. I want to say, why are you doing this? And I can't. That's where I struggle. I want to know, why are you persecuting me? Jesus asked that to Paul. Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? Saul was an interesting guy. He was steeped in Judaism. He circumcised the 8th day, a Hebrew of Hebrews, a Pharisee of Pharisees, the tribe of Benjamin, on and on. He had the resume of the self-righteous elite. And God himself blinded him on the Damascus road and said, why are you persecuting me? And I ask that to Christians. I go to work. I put in 100,000%. You stuff your feet and you stand around. Hey, so-and-so, let me talk to you forever. Let me waste another half. He takes extended breaks. When I say that, he'd take his 2:15s and his lunch. But he takes breaks all in between. Spend a half an hour down here at the shop. What does your job have to do with the foreman of the shop? 0. You're in receiving. The aisles are blocked, and they're getting worse blocked. I can't get down them to pull parts, can't get a scissors lift. And when your boss comes, he starts moving stuff like this. But he's at the other location. And I want to scream at the company, why is he back here? He's not doing anything. He wants to teach everybody how to use quantum. He wants to teach everybody how to use the computer. And he wants to stand there. Now you need to do this. Now you need to do that. Yeah, he likes to be the boss. He's not a leader because he doesn't model. Everybody I've taught at the PAC table is like, Mike, I can't keep up with you. I said, I don't expect you to. But they know Michael is going to model what he believes. I don't care what black culture thinks about me. I don't care what Hispanic culture thinks about me. I don't give a shit about what Augusta, Georgia thinks of me, because this place is probably the highest dysfunctional place right up there with the Iron Range of Minnesota. The South, and there's a reason that we use terms. Up north, out west, back east, down south. Compass points. And they all have a deeper meaning. You want to go up, you go up north. You want to go back, you go east. You want to go out there, you go west. But if you want to go down, come to the south. The south end of the deer. That went south. That truck went south. That relationship went south. Now I know why they say that. We got blacks down here still believing that everybody's racist. Still, even though they're almost taking a majority in many of these places. And they can do whatever they want. They got privilege that I don't have. We got mayor dipping his hand in the cookie jar. Where's the arrest? What the hell? $16 million was lost from the city of Augusta. And a guy keeps calling me, I wanted to update your property. Man, you guys are doing this every year. So you can get another $500 nickels to pay all your, ethnic diverse clowns. I'm sick of it. You're so against the whites. The whites are so bad. And you want nothing. In Augusta, they say, you got signs, get out the black vote. How about if I suggest something? How about if we stop voting in these people that are running on color and actually get shit done in the city? There's a few blacks that have woken up in America to the foolishness of the indoctrination and the Democrat fixation in keeping the black community down. There's some blacks that have woke up and have stopped drinking the Kool-Aid. And when they get it, if the black community, if the 43 million blacks in America woke up to the lies that they've systematically believed, the Democrat Party in America knows they'd have a force to be reckoned with. It would spell one of the big nails in the coffin of the left. There's a YouTube video called The School to Prison Pipeline. Look at the architecture of the schools today. Look at the architecture of a prison. We've got a school here, Glen Hills High School. I used to drive a bus route to it. And it's got a tower at the front of it that looks exactly like the prison tower where the guy stands up there looking down on the courtyard and everything. I said, wow, that's really nice. I remember when I was in Duluth. Oh my gosh. Duluth had the most beautiful brownstone, arched, giant clock tower. And 3-4 stories of the most beautiful old world architecture. I wanted to go to class in that. You go to these schools, they look exactly like a prison. Painted cinder block, generic bathrooms, stainless steel everything. No soul, no personality. I would love to walk in on a hardwood floor old school and walk in there, teach. A generation that actually wanted to be educated back in the day. I hate the inside of these schools. They look like prisons. You want to talk about racism? You want to talk about political correctness and whoa. Why do you keep building these schools to look like prison complexes? Why? No woodwork, no cool windows. In fact, COVID was interesting. It taught us we really don't need the school anymore. We could save property taxes and taxpayers lots of money if we shut the school system down. You can learn right now online and soar if you apply yourself. My property taxes go up to support a corrupt school system. I was fired by that school system because I did a video telling the truth. See, education, when it starts avoiding the truth, when it starts favoring an ethnicity that ethnicity typically is responsible for the lion's share of crime percentile-wise in the nation, the cost, if you sit down and actually add up the cost by people groups of who brings what to the table, it would shock everybody in this country. Yes, I totally agree there's white corruption, absolutely. But the cost in the criminal justice system by a certain community of people is staggering. And factor into that their mortality rate within that race, at the hands of that race, is exponential. And it begs the question, so I'm privileged. I'm a white guy. We whites are systemically racist, but you're all killing your own race. Can you play that video for me one more time and explain how you come to these conclusions about us? Could you? Would you? I was mad when I got fired. And the same idiots work over there. The same losers that should have been fired work over there. A black guy who is flaming gay, and he dated pretty woman after pretty woman and some not so pretty, hurt them. They quit because of him. He yelled at a black supervisor my age, cussed her out in front of the room. I walked in, and my manhood, the hair standing up, I want to say, whoa, you're talking to a woman that way. You're a black guy talking to a black woman that way. What is wrong with you? I didn't say a word because I believe in staying in my lane. I went to that supervisor. I said, why did you sit there and take that? Never mind, Mr. Nelson. I said, no, that ain't right. If he'd have done that out west, if he'd have done that in northern Minnesota back in the day, he would have been fired so fast his head would have spun. This is the America I'm watching today. Privilege goes to the felons, to the thugs, to the bad guys, to the people that are screaming about racism when they're dishing out more of it. This guy still has a job there. People still call me and complain about him. I'm like, what? Whose wiener is he kissing to keep his job there? And he's not gifted with handsomeness. He looks like Baby Huey in black. The legs and the butt looks like Baby Huey. And all the women eat out of his hand there. And I've watched an America where the bad guys, they got all the luck. If you're a gay black male, all the black ladies, hi, they think that's cute and funny. And then they'll come over to me, Mike, why are you wearing your shirt off your shoulder? Are you gay? No, I'm not. But why are you treating me different than him? Because it's a color thing. That's why. That's why. But I did have a black woman that I dated in Colorado. She told me something interesting. She goes, I got so tired of the LGBT community saying this is a civil rights issue. She goes, it is not. I said, absolutely. It's a personal choice issue. Let me say something, gay men and lesbian women. You actually can do and do what you want. The Supreme Court even allowed you to get married. So nobody's stopping you. But what's happening is you are forcing it on all of us. And that is not the same as the black-white issue at all. The black-white issue was about the injustice of the way whites treated blacks back in the day, having them as slaves, treating them as property, calling them the N-word, treating them as ignorant, treating them as not even second-class citizens, but as treating them as primal. And that was wrong. But we're way past that. And the Democrats beat the racist drum. CNN and the major networks beat the racist drum. Something happens out there in public that nobody else in America knows about, and suddenly it's made your business in your living room that George Floyd got caught passing a counterfeit bill, and now we have a problem with systemic racism in the United States. Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies. I had a black guy tell me years ago, Mike, what happened in the 70s? We all danced the same music, we all sang the same songs, and now look. I said, you know, you got a point. When I was a kid, I was on the LA freeway, sitting in the back seat of the car. My hormones were finding themselves, and we were stuck in night traffic on the freeway, bumper to bumper, and this lady, this black lady in a little small car, shut the window down, and she was fine looking, and I'm in a kid in the back seat, I had the window down, and I went, she looked at me, she goes, thank you. I said, you're cute. My mother says, Michael, what are you doing? I said, there's a cute lady over there. My dad mumbled nervously, and they were looking at me like, oh, Michael's hitting that stage. But even though my parents were abusive and problem, they never said, well, that's a black woman, don't look at that. I will say that my mom and dad never, ever, ever, ever displayed that. And I judge a people by the content of their character. America is judged by the externals. See, you can play a game, and you can play a good game and dot game, and inside you're a Jeffrey Dahmer, a Buffalo Bill. And that's the problem of America. America's always shocked when a preacher, a corporate exec, a politician gets caught in this or that, proving that we are stupid. We pedestalized a certain dress code. We pedestalized a certain income. Men in America pedestalize pretty women. And do you know what that's done to women? It's actually worked against them. We have more immaturity in women today than ever before historically in America. We have more entitlement in 2026 women today than ever before. We have women that don't value me or other men who struggle, who try to do good, who try to pray for people and care for people. They don't care about us. Am I dysfunctional? Absolutely. So is all of this country. I do social experiments. I dress like this and watch reactions. And no, I don't run around with my phone up. I don't do that. That's too intrusive. You're asking for trouble when you do that. People say, Mike, you got to take your phone and do a video in the flea market. People don't like that. Even Michael is respectful of the culture I'm in. People don't want cameras in their face. People trying to get views and doing stuff gets people pissed. And this is another thing I don't like is this terminology used to describe YouTube artists, influencers. Died the other day. I don't know what happened. He and his girlfriend or wife both died. Doing dumb things to get views. The need to be validated and recognized is built within us. But when we're so broken that we'll do anything to get that validation, that's when you need to stop the bus, pull the air brake, and get off and look in the mirror at yourself and ask, why? I struggle with people's analysis of me because it's always bothered me. I was put down and bullied so much. And it's just a form of bullying in different forms. What Joe at work is doing is showing how dysfunctional he is. What Joe is doing, if I could get past my automatic knee-jerk that they're just hating on me, is why don't you unpack why he doesn't like you? You're 6 years older than him. You're better looking than him. You're more muscular than him. You've got more pep in your step and you are a go-getter. And this guy is not dealing with that. So when you don't deal with somebody who in many ways is a better model vehicle than you are, you project, you hate, you be rude to them. And Joe has accomplished something. I'm now praying that God would drive him out of this place. And I've done this a few times. That's my last result. There was a guy that worked at transportation, a black guy. He was an absolute horrible human being. When I first started there, he likes to get up into everybody's business. He bragged that he had FUCK'd half the women at transportation. He pulled out his phone and scrolled from here down. Most of the women in his phone were not attractive. They were undesirable by me. A lot of weight. I said, aren't you married? And he showed a picture of his Jamaican wife, who was absolutely gorgeous. Well, there's problems there. He was fooking around with a married black woman at transportation who's still employed there. She's very short and squat, poochy. She is not what I would call hot. And that's something I had to learn when I moved. When you move into a different culture, what the people hold up as the standard in their thing is probably not going to be a standard that we hold up over here. I know good-looking black, white, Asian, Hispanic women when I see them. Augusta is a culture, subculture, subset than that the people here, they're more pigeon-oriented than eagle-soaring-oriented. And by that, the pigeon that just crawled out of the trash can with the French fry will be considered hot. And that eagle up there, they're going to laugh at it. That's the community I live in. A lot of the black people here think they're better than me, more important than me. That, you know, I'm because I'm not black, I've got a strike against me right now. You factor in that Augusta is cliquey. It's a good old boys club, both white and black sides of the fence. I am extremely hireable, but I'm not extremely hireable in Augusta because this place is the Twilight Zone. The employment agencies, the job temps, are sending nothing but black people. Black people that have drug history, criminal records. When I heard Donald Trump, when I heard the news, the conservative think tank news, talk about DEI hire, this is what goes on here. This is what goes on in transportation. But for the director, they had a black guy in there once. But they only have white guys as a director. Then they got the black people on the low level. But they did have a black superintendent. He was let go, replaced by a liberal white woman who wrote up a very virtue signaling diatribe against me as to why I was fired. They took 20 days of me being suspended with no pay, and not once, this is what's the problem with the education system, not once was I called to come in and meet with these people and talk to them and give my side. That's not justice. Social media operates the same way. You cannot call Facebook. You cannot call Google or YouTube. If you're making $1 billion on this, they'll have a hotline for you. But us, you have a guy on the internet who's been a stalker and doxxed and threatened me for 11 years still has a death threat video of me, or a bodily harm video that he did in Manila. I have complained numerous times. Many have complained. YouTube, which is owned by Google, has never taken it down. Benny Johnson, who's got a neon outline of his face and is rolling in the money because he's Trump's friend, even that showed me something. The Good Old Boys Club exists on every level, whether it's Democrat, black, white, Republican, conservative, in a church. When I was at Riverside Baptist Church, we had Rick Ferguson, who's passed away. He and his son were driving across Kansas, got in a wreck that caused a fatality. Him and his son both killed. It shocked the church. The church was halved just after that. Half the people got up and left. Rick Ferguson was an outstanding dynamic teacher, and it clearly became revealed that people were going there because of Rick. And we do this. We hero worship. Rick was good. He had a series called Devolution, and he shredded evolution scientifically and biblically. But Rick was from Missouri. That's considered part of the South. I don't know how Missouri is considered the South because, Missouri is more the Midwest. But Rick had a friend named Dwayne. Dwayne had a beautiful wife who was Asian. Dwayne was not gifted in good looks, but he had all of the appearances as a used car salesman. He's not good with people. His wife was very nice. He was not. And he was brought into the pastorate as an associate pastor because he was Rick's friend. And Benny Johnson, who has a YouTube shtick, pro-Trump, had somebody on the internet threaten him, and the FBI surrounded that young guy's home and had him arrested. The FBI does not work for you or me, folks. If I was running a syndicated crime ring, then I might get to meet the FBI, but not before. And when you realize that the police are not here to serve and protect you, when the FBI is not here to protect you, when your government's not here to protect you, it all becomes crystal clear. What is America all about? The Democrats get away with the lion's share of sins in this country. We've seen this with the Epstein files. We've seen the TDS show up. They're still making false. Oh, Melania and Trump were all involved. I did a fact check. AI said this is unsubstantiated. Though they have AI-generated photos, they're not the case. When AI, which is manipulated by leftists, is telling us that Trump and Melania were not involved with Epstein on that level, but you got YouTube artists, 54,000 views, 100,000 likes. Did you hear what I just said? Did you catch that? That's what they do. They lie, they run with it, and dumb ASSs all across America. Oh yeah, Dad, I knew it. Trump's guilty. Where's the evidence? Well, we don't need any. It's all over the place. Where's your proof, clown? These Democrats are liars, and they're bullies, and they're haters. I cannot stand the Democrat Party what it stands for. And I will confront anybody that wants to defend them and get into my face on my channel. They are evil. And people really have a hard time with this. Michael Nelson is a Christian, and he's voted for Trump. But I've criticized him too, because sometimes he needs to be. We all need to be critiqued, unless your critique is erroneous. And they see me dressed like, oh my gosh, look at this woke, F-A-G-G-O-T. I was called a racist. Not by the Board of Education. I ran into a guy at the flea market who's a brother, look-alike of his brother who drove bus. He said, my brother told me what happened to you at transportation. He said, man, that's a bunch of bullcrap. Mike was a good employee, and that's a lie. And he dated one of the black women there. In fact, he dated her when she was underage. She's a driver. She's claiming she's a lesbian. They had a kid together. He loves the kid. He's got a half black, half white kid. But he's a conservative. And he's just head over heels for this woman. And this woman has come and talked to me. I'm not into him. I said, but yet you still hook up with him. Mike, I have sex with him. He pays my bills. Wow. So this guy that worked in the shop started in with me right away. Slender, ugly black guy. His face had pockmarks and pits. He bragged that he was a drug dealer for years. In fact, he knew about the crack house in my neighborhood. I said, how do you know that? I used to sell there, man. Really? And you live in North Augusta, which is quite a ways away from here. You know. He said he was in the military. And he liked to hustle people. He was a BSer. You come to work in the morning, they clock in at 5. For 30 to 45 minutes, he's sitting on a mechanic stool in the bay, got everybody eating out of his hand with his tall tails. I'd walk through there, I'd ignore him. Hey, Mike! I'd ignore him. Mike, call him. What do you want, man? Why you do this or that? I said, why are you even talking to me, man? I got stuff to do. Mike, you giving me an attitude? I said, you give me one every day. I don't even want to talk to you. Guy was a jerk. And I turned it in over and over and again. Not one manager, not one higher up did a thing. He worked there 25 years. He went after women constantly. He'd take the lot truck, go down to the lot, and flirt with the girls as they're getting their buses ready to run routes. He was a dog of a human being. His buddy, who seemed to have more integrity, but he had no skills in choosing wise friends, said, you know, he wanted to kick your ASS, and I told him not to. I said, oh, you told him not to. I said, he wanted to kick my ASS for what? Mike, you said some things on social media. I said, did I mention his name? No, but I said, let me tell you something. That guy threatened me there. Did you stand up for me? You were standing right there when he made comments. Did you ever stand up for me? Y'all about protecting your own little hood, but you don't give a crap about me. Let that guy come after me. All that money that he got from his mommy, his wife will be getting to meet me in a courtroom. Let him touch me. I'm not afraid of that little boy. He's younger than me, and he's out there being a pig. And then I spent 2 days working on a bus that was thrashed. It was an older bus. Every seat was tore up. I got a shipment of new phones, new covers, and I tore it up and redid it for a nice black lady. I got it done, turned it out just before I clocked out and went home. I was so excited, I thought, I can't wait for her to see her bus. Next morning, I pulled up at the shop to drop off my uniform in the locker, the dirties. And as I drive forward, I'm like, what the hell happened to that bus? The whole front end was crushed, and I looked at number 298. I said, oh my gosh, I just did this. Did she just wreck the bus? I went down below. I said, what happened to 298? What do you mean? I said, it's crushed. Go look. It's on the south side of the shop. And one of the ladies said very sarcastically, oh, that be, and named his name. I said, what? Found out the camera caught him. He was playing with his phone. Fortunately, he didn't have kids on the bus. He plowed into a dually with a trailer. That's what I was told. Tore it up. Did you know that the director, who was quick to listen to a complaint about my video and immediately contacted downtown, this guy needs to be removed? Let that clown stay for 2 months on taxpayer money. Any driver, now he was a mechanic, asked to sub. Any driver that had done that would have been fired that day. They would have been sent to a drug test to make sure there were no drugs, but they would have been fired for that. He had employment for 2 months. And you got some rude people at transportation that have said some rude things to me. One's always talking about sports, and I've always respected him. I have none. Because he has no knowledge of what we've been through at the hands of them. And this guy, I went to the foreman and I said, why is he not fired? He goes, Mike, I've asked the same thing. He's got some protection from downtown. I said, how? The black director that was there way before me, that same foreman walked into the assembly room at the transportation admin offices when the school was closed, but they had a skeleton crew there, work day for regular year-rounders. Saw that director with a black woman on the table with her legs wide open doing her. I said, did you turn it in? He goes, it ain't going to do any good, Mike. They're favored down here. The guy in the shipping office told me that. He's younger than me. He laughed about it. He said, shoot, when I worked at Kimberly-Clark, you go Kellogg's in these places, he said, they having sex all the time, Mike, supervisors. I was told by him, they're not going to hire you, Mike. He said, you're a hard worker. They don't want you there because they'll think you're there to make them look bad, and they will give you hell. And that's what happened in transportation. The harassment and the bullshit I went through for 6 years, I failed to realize God was actually doing me a favor. Michael, you're not going to leave. All these buttholes that get on my channel and question my manhood, none of them would do what I've done. All these white guys that talk trash, they would not move to this community. They would not live in a predominantly black. They would not work in a 99% black field and do what I did and continue to stay. I drove these buses. It was harder for me being white than it was for the blacks. And the blacks themselves admitted to me, Michael, these children are terrible down here. Michael, it's not just you. I'm black and they don't respect me. But one guy said, the one that should be fired, oh, they don't like you because you're white. I looked at him, I said, is that so, huh? I said, isn't that racism? Oh, no, man. No, man, really. I drove the bus better and safer than most of the other people. I took care of my bus better than they did. I cleaned it every day, put up the windows every day. You go to work, you come in Wednesday night, all the windows are down, the roof hatches are open, the driver's window's open. Next day you come to work and the heavens are exploding. Lightning, thunder, rain coming down. All the seats are wet, driver's seat soaked, the dash panel's soaked. And guess what? My bus break down. Go to start, it won't start. Go take another bus. Which one? Really? You're going to give me? They left all the... I'm not sitting in that wet seat. I mean, it isn't vinyl. It's cloth, so it's soaked all the way down to the stuffing. I got a lot of stories to tell about Richmond County. I wish I could have had a hearing before the board and said, this is totally unfair. Not one person ever felt unsafe with me working there. And the superintendent, they dug around in my channel and found the videos of me in the yard with an axe and creepy music. And because of the timing of that, some drama queens at the workplace said, I don't feel safe with Mike working here. Look at this face. Look at my body. Know that most black people dial in much taller, much bigger, and much more muscle than me. I'm going to come to transportation with an axe? Really? Number one, I'm not a killer. Number two, if I was going to do something, that'd be the wrong way to go about it. That's not in me. I don't like what was done, but I say, God, you are the one that said you'll take care of it. I'm still mad about it, but I'm not going to go into a rage. They're stupid. They do not, by God, have a legal reason to fire me. They fired me because we're living in a day and age where people are calling evil good and calling good evil. Having standards, that's evil. Talking about a race that draws a lot of toddler-like attention to themselves, you're called a racist. You're not going to change who I am. You're not going to change my views. I'm going to continue to stand on the truth. I've already proven to myself it costs you. Most whites, most people I know, and even some blacks that are Christians, they're not going to be as bold as me because they're scared. They're worried about their comfort zone. They're worried about their job. Mike, I'm not going to rock. Don't rock the boat. Don't do what I did. Just be quiet, be a wallflower. But stop complaining as the culture descends into the toilet. You are part of the problem. Where were the Christians? That ain't right. Mike never showed racism down here. He said something about something that happened over there, and I listened to what he said and tell me it isn't true. Why'd you guys get rid of him? Nobody wanted to defend me. Nobody. When I had problems on my last channel, and that guy was being a terrorist on it, none of the fan base stood up to that. And I learned something through all this. I will not base my belief system or my decisions on the society at large. Even now, as I look all of you in the eye, we got a good group of people here. I know in the back of my mind that everybody, just like the disciples fled Jesus, they would do the same thing. How tough are you as a man? How far will you stand? I think I've already proven my manhood. I live alone. I walk in the city alone. My supervisor, I went and I said, I need to talk to you. And I talked about that idiot. And he looked at me and said, profound statement, why do you let that bother you? I said, because I'm sick of it. You know you're better than that. You know you work harder than him. I said, I know, but it just vexes me that he's even over there. I said, you know what? I live alone. I don't have family here. I don't have a close friendship with anybody here. I mentioned a couple of black women I'm friends with. They're nice people and have good things, but we're not solid. When you are in a different culture, you will never be part of that. You may be invited to dine, you may be invited to look in, but you're never going to be part of it. And that's why I get so mad at whites that try to act like blacks and blacks that try to act like whites. It's like, be who you are. Paul says, be all things to all men. That does not mean what some people think it means. Idiots that comment on the internet have no idea what I go through. They have no idea what this dynamic is like, because I would venture to say that most of the people that comment on my channel do not live in a racially upside down world like I do. The thinking out here is wrong. The mentality out here is wrong. That this society here is doing the same thing that they accused the whites of 50, 60, 70 years ago. Self-righteousness blinds you to you. The people that are so, and I say this sarcastically, so concerned about what I'm wearing, they're not concerned. They don't say it out of love. Whether it's a relative of mine or anybody else, they do not say this out of love. They're full of hatred. They want to harass. They want to demean. If you are a Christian and you really care about pleasing God, and you've hurt me way before I started doing this, don't you think you should take ownership for that? Well, if you're a Christian and you work side by side with me at work and you're rude and you keep doing stuff and I've turned you in, and my supervisor said, I don't appreciate you doing that to Mike. And you just stood there. Can't say I'm sorry, huh? Well, maybe he's not a Christian. No. Watch the bomb I'm going to drop. There's a lot of Christian assholes and a lot of Christian bitches in our society. Let that sink in. I had a talk with a narcissist, materialistic woman 2 weeks ago. Did not come back to the church. Of course, she's not going to go to church that convicts her of her false thinking. I go to a Baptist church. Baptist churches have a stigma. Most people won't go to them. They said they're judgmental, and they can be. But the Baptist church, out of all the denominations, to me, teaches right understanding of the Bible more than the others. There's too much deviancy from Scripture and sound teaching in a lot of Assembly of God. Pentecostal gets into feelings-based theology, which is not right. The United Methodist Church is a mess. The Lutherans got too much Catholicism mixed in with it. You have to be careful. And I think for myself, at the end of the day, there's things that our pastor believes, and I've looked at him and said, I do not agree with that. But I'm going to respect him because he teaches the Word of God. So I don't care what people think about my way of dressing. What I'm starting to do is discipline myself to not respond to these comments unless they really warrant it. I just delete the comment. Or if they're really foul, I report it, which removes the comment and sends that, because YouTube sees what you post. That doesn't disappear. And we have a community here of people that pray and care for each other and laugh. We can talk about God. We can talk about things. And I've noticed I am dysfunctional because I haven't dated in 8 years. It is extremely hard. In fact, it is an impossibility for me to get a good-looking, well-adjusted female to date in Augusta. I don't believe it exists. That woman that talked to me for 3 hours or texted the hell out of me, that's not a good woman. She's been through a bad, violent relationship, whatever. She brags about her guns, and then she wants a man who's wealthy. This woman is never going to make a good wife for anybody. She will have problems with any man she's with. And she's 48. And the age factor starts to set in. I'm 60. I want to see her 12 years from now and see how that dials in. And these women think that they're God's gift to creation and the rest of us have to measure up to them. Excuse me, you're not the Lord Jesus Christ. I do not have to measure up to any woman, any man in this world. I cannot measure up to him. That's why he stretched out his arms and died on a cross. So if that's the case, stop being simps, men. Stop butt kissing at work. Put your faith in God. Do the best you can. Confess where you fall short. Get up and pull your man or woman clothes on every day and do the best you can as a Christian. And trust yourself to a faithful Creator, because this society is not going to reward you. Society is corrupt. They reward good-looking women. They reward bad-acting black people. They reward bad-acting white people. The workplace is a jungle. And even though you work for Christians, they're off too. And we got to get this in our mind. We think if somebody's a Christian, oh, everything's going to be perfect. Man, they can be the most money-grubbing, tight-ass people out there while they spend lavishly on themselves. Gotta go. Y'all have a good day. 95 views. We can't tip that to 100. I want to thank people for taking the time to watch my channel. You can watch anything else but you. Whether for a moment or for a little bit, you watched. I don't take that for granted. I don't charge for memberships. My channel's not loaded with click this, click that. Make sure to hit the like and the subs. I do say sub if you want, like if you want. If you want to send money, it's Pacific Ocean Asia 77, the Cash App. Any donations appreciated. By the way, I have not even gotten $1,000 since the inception of this channel. Well over a year ago. So I don't make money off of this. I have to go to work like everybody else. Why are they paying Benny Johnson? Why are they paying Paul Joseph Watson? None of those people interact with their club. Candace Owens is now making bold statements. She's now saying that, oh, what's her name? Erica Kirk, the wife of Charlie Kirk, is embracing Islam. I have never seen a woman trying to get attention in such degradatory ways as to lie and to come up with conspiracy theories that Netanyahu killed Charlie Kirk. No, it was Tyler Robinson. He confessed it. What is the problem? What is wrong with Candace Owens? I actually almost fell once. I said, oh, I love Candace Owens. She's such a pretty black woman. She's so smart. And I look back at myself. Yep, you pedestalize her like everybody else. And then anti-Israeli, pro-Catholic, not a Christian, even admitted that. And it's funny, she spends more time attacking Erica and saying, I was really close to Charlie. Well, how close were you? Did you have an affair with him? You got a white husband. You spend more time talking about Charlie Kirk than you do your man. You've never mentioned your husband on your dating channel, Candace. You need to go away. But she's rolling in millions of dollars, and Americans are dumb. They will pay for that. They'll tithe to that. They pay for beauty. They pay for lies. They will not support the truth. I'm a living testimony. And God help you if you're going to. They'll even support all these ministers, the big names, the John MacArthur, Chuck Swindoll. They're all millionaires. David Jeremiah's worth $40 to $80 million. Max Lucado, who wrote little feel-good Christian books, worth millions of dollars. How about you got to get out of the boat? That guy, he was not gifted with handsome, and he spent 8 years poojing another man's wife while he was married, writing books. Philip Yancey. Now, we're imperfect, but that takes on a really diabolical scheme for 8 years. And I get on here and be honest. And boy, am I criticized for it. Philip Yancey's wife ought to clean him out. You did this for 8 years and went home and lived a lie while you wrote Christian books. And all these silly Christian women and men go, this is such a good book. You are messed up. I think more Christians are blinder than sheep. They won't stand up against evolution. They won't stand out and be unique. They're all going to copy each other in this lame duck approach. Well, you got to love your enemies. Well, you go ahead and do it for me. Because I'm not there yet. Okay? You're so godly, you love them for me. You go work next to them, put them with their crap. Shut up. Thank you for 100 likes. I am free before God. And I'm a mess before God. And I'm dysfunctional as anybody else. But that's not going to stop me from boldly standing up. I have people come on here. You shouldn't be talking about God dressed out. I will talk about anything I want. You don't like the way I dress? Get off the channel, dum-dum. Don't look at it. Don't listen to it. Go get in your car. Go get a paintbrush. Go find something to do, child. You're going to be my boss? You want to pay me $100,000 a year to run my channel? Then I'll dress the way you want me to. How about that? Nobody's signing up, so shut your mouth. I'm not a preacher. I'm not a pastor. I don't run a church. I don't run a cult. I can be an individual. There's no laws broken in the production of me being me. Did you know that? And that's why I have a problem with adult material, because women today, it's insane. I can rub one out to something illicit and go on about my day minus the cost, minus the headache, minus the devaluation of a woman moody and putting me down that I can never please. And you wonder why the U.S. is the largest producer of adult sexual material in the world. China's 1 billion people. America's 330 million, give or take. Why are we the largest producer? Because we've been taught to fake it. We've been taught to wear certain clothes, buy that car. We've never been taught to do this. Love or be people of heart. Women are encouraged to be rebellious and act like guys, dress like guys, talk like guys. Have you ever seen Joyce Myers walk around the stage talking like a man? $90 million in 2006. Woo, that's a lot of money for a clown. I preach the truth. I am honest about my sins and my struggles. Nobody's paying for this channel. Nobody. Some people make small little donations here and there, and I appreciate that, but nobody's paying for this channel. Nobody owns me but God. Nobody in Augusta gives a shit about me. Nobody. It's a very, most people that watch me have no idea what loneliness looks like. Most of you got girlfriends, wives, family. You got something. I have zero, zippo, the hippo. And I still get up and face the day. Let's go for a ride. Shall we? Might as well get ready and move on. Let's go out on this. Let's light a fuse. I don't give a shit what people think about me. And all the scripture kings and queens. I know the Bible. I know it well. I do. I do. And you know what? One of the things that I notice about our society is when you are not like everybody else, you are a target. You're a target. Because our society, yep, I wash myself every day, but I like to smell good, and that's just the way it is. Pardon the nipple slip, folks. I don't like the world that we live in. And the only choice I got is to function and live every day. Want to see a man brush his teeth? You got to see a man brush his teeth. I break all the rules of what people do on the internet. But watch this. I'm a guy doing this. But a girl can get on here that's got a top like this on. She could smell like the dickens. You don't know. You're looking at her through a screen. And she could sit there. Hi, guys. No content. She can brush her teeth. Put on, fool around. The guys are sitting there going. In fact, guys are probably doing more than that. Their hands somewhere else because nobody can see them. And those same idiots will get on my channel. Oh my gosh, you're dressed like a girl. Yeah, but you watch women dressed like this all day. Or the ones wearing hoodies working on their car, and you don't say, if you're going to quote scripture, quote it across the board, people, not just to me. Oh, I'm so tired of that. I had an ex-wife for 14 years. You need to date somebody long enough that you see all those things that you don't normally see and ask if you still want to live with that. You go in the bathroom. Wow, that's gross. Yeah, she was a peach. Screw the whole minute thing. At least my breath don't smell like a dang dragon. Just an ordinary man. Well, that ain't right. I'm not just an ordinary man. Not at all. Not at all. Can't say I'm ordinary because that would imply that I'm like everybody else. But in some ways, yes. Some ways, yes. I love these little sprays from the Dollar Tree. They're awesome. People are strange when you're a stranger. When you're strange, people remember your name. When you're strange, when you're strange. Hey, I got several channels talking crap about me, and I'm no danger to them. That's what's really a trip. No danger to them. I'm gonna put my belt on. Notice I'm losing weight working at the warehouse. Crazy. How about we just change out our shorts? It's crazy, the world we live in. I agree with Randy Stonehill. It's a great big stupid world. It is. It is. It is a stupid world. And sometimes there's a depression that comes with being a Christian and living in this world. Because the world is not our friend. When we got saved, the Bible says we are transferred from the kingdom of darkness into the kingdom of light. That being said, we're not going to feel at home here. We're not going to be the popular one. We're not going to be invited to all the reindeer games. And we Christians fail to grasp that. We fail to grasp that. We get out there and we wonder, how come people, I hear guys saying, I can't get a date. Years ago, You could get a date with an unbeliever pretty easily. Not today. Not today, unless you totally compromise. If non-Christians don't want to date me, that's fine with me. I think that's okay. I have to make a deposit to the porcelain deity. I'll be right back. Oh, yeah. So I want to talk about something else while I'm en route to the store. Christian superstition. And that is the belief that if you, it says in Corinthians about the Lord's Supper, it was being dishonored. People were drunk. People brought food and they weren't sharing with others. And it was interesting. And people were acting up in the church at Corinth. And what was fascinating is put all my blings on. People today, even Christians, will believe that if somebody acts up, God's going to get them. And, I have a friend, my roommate, that lived here. Her mother bought a house, so she moved an hour away to be with her. And, I appreciate that. And, she dates a guy, and tonight she'll go over and spend the night at his house. And a lot of people taught for the longest time that when you sin against God as a Christian, he's going to get you and life's going to be horrible. I had to learn the hard way something fascinating. That's not always true. At all. In fact, more often than not, people who walk in disobedience as Christians seems like their life can go better. That's part of the illusion. That's part of the illusion. And I don't know why that is, but God is not superstitious. He's patient. He gives us grace. I lived in Hong Kong, and the marriage I chased over there failed. So I lived in sin. I didn't have a medical emergency. I didn't get hurt. It was only after I come back to the U.S. and try to follow God and live right that all the bad stuff happened. People don't like to admit that, but you got to. Sometimes you sleep better when you're living in sin than when you're trying to walk with God. Did you know that? No. And people say, well, Mike, just get out of Georgia. And go where? I own my place. Where am I going to go where I can afford a house? Move to some expensive place up north and pay $2,000 a month for a Cracker Jack box apartment with noisy neighbors? You just go from one frying pan to the other. I gotta get this fixed because it's heat season. Man, that ain't not 25 miles an hour there, bucko. These people haul butt to this neighborhood. It's a cut through. That's another thing I noticed. If you're in a neighborhood in the hood, they won't do anything about those problems. But if you live in a nice neighborhood, oh, they'll put in speed limit signs and the digital speed limits and then the speed bumps. There are two levels of justice in this country. Those that have the upper end neighborhoods, they get the breaks and the protection that we don't get. I thought it was funny when the Democrats were talking about defunding the popo. None of them asked for the police in their gated communities to be defunded. I wonder why that is. The answer is obvious. They don't model. I model what I believe. I believe in working hard, and I model what I believe. I believe in transparency and honesty, even if it makes me look bad. Because I'm not into acting. Nobody's paid me to act today. I've never been signed up for an acting career. And I think that my life would be a better movie than all these actors because it's real. Truth is stranger than fiction. The flowers are out. Crepe myrtles. The dogwoods are done. They usually start in February. They bloom once, and that's it. Now, I've become stronger going through all this. It's not easy. I don't have suicidal tendencies, thank God. Killing yourself hurts. I have a reason to live, and I live by faith every day. And sometimes it's intimidating. It'd be nice to have millions of dollars in a bank account. It'd be nice to just say, okay, I'm going to move. Every decision I make, including driving this truck, has consequences. I can go fast, but I don't. Because I have a belief that if I try to do what's right, God's protection is going to be there. But guess what? Watch this. When you do right, you could also have evil happen to you. You could get into an accident that's not your fault. The other driver doesn't have insurance, and you're left holding everything. Everything we do is by faith. That's scary. I don't like that. You know, when God says, I'll never leave you nor forsake you, what does that look like? It's like when I was a kid, my dad didn't help me with that. My mother did not help me at all. I was very little. We were at a motel. Don't remember where or when, but I was very little. I was holding on to the edge of the pool. I didn't know how to swim. I loved the water. And my mother said, let go. Your dad will catch you. I was too scared. I never bonded with those guys. They're the ones that adopted me. You know, as a kid, they're blowing smoke in my face and it was bothering me. I didn't have a reason to trust. And my mother started chastising. Oh, you're such a baby. Your dad's going to catch you. That's the last thing you want to do when you're trying to train somebody. God doesn't do that to us. God doesn't say, oh, you little baby. No, he takes the high road. He said, if you had faith as a size of a mustard seed, you could tell this mountain uproot and go to sea. Do you know what he was saying when he said that? You don't have faith at all. You think you do. Instead, you got people thinking, just like that woman 2 weeks ago, that if I have enough faith, I can accumulate wealth. Is that God's will for us? That is not what it says in the Bible. This is not what it says at all. No, it takes guts to do what I do. It takes guts to wear this stuff, to go out in public. It takes guts. It takes guts to be unique with me and allow life to teach me what is and what is not. But I also know about the fear that exists within us. That many people will not do something because they're worried about what their peers or family thinks. I know people who live in that bondage. I will not do it. I will not do it anymore. It doesn't benefit. It does not benefit. Oh, I knew it. Right when I get to the slide, it's going to go red. That's rigged. I want one of those remote controls where every light is green. This is a long light. And people, they live their life hemmed in by the expectations of others. Never stretching their wings and soaring. Sometimes you got to try things to find out, well, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Sometimes you need to try things and go, wow, I wish I'd have done this sooner. Now, if you feel like doing something illegal or really against God, I wouldn't encourage that. Because just like Alan Parsons, there may be a price to pay. But just because you're a Christian, sinning does not mean God's going to immediately move his hand right then and there against you. Oftentimes, he seemingly won't. I don't know why that is. But, you know, it says in Corinthians, when people are disobeying God, so that's why many of you are sick and many of you sleep. Paul implied that some of you were taken out as Christians, met an early death because of disobedience. Does God do that all the time? Did God do that in the early church? Yes, he did. Look at Ananias and Sapphira. They lied. They sold the property. They said they sold it for $10,000 and laid $10,000 down at the apostles' feet when they actually sold it for $20,000. And you know, they're both confronted. Why did you lie to the Holy Spirit? Oops. Christians today, they're lying and everything. You see the Holy Spirit taking them out. Dispensationalism is proved just by the fact that doesn't happen. So you hurried up to stuff your mouth with food and be on your phone to beat me the red light in your SUV. I just noticed another thing. Most people cannot look at big picture and go, that light's red, maybe I ought to slow down. And it's a woman. And they'll be the ones that'll put the pedal on the floor and do it all over again. they have bumper stickers, I hate to say it, that identify what race they are on their vehicles. A lot of them have SRP, which is a credit union. And they had a thing a long time ago where if you had that sticker and somebody from the credit union would see you, or the radio station would call out your car plate, then you could win some money. Well, they're not doing that, but they all got the sticker. And it's like, oh my gosh, all the black people have that sticker on their car. Not all, but most of them. I don't see white people with the sticker. And it's like, you don't want to be branded, but you just branded yourself. Why? I took my Trump sticker off the truck. People are too crazy. And I'm not afraid of who I vote for, but unfortunately when you're driving, people don't have the time to sit down and drink tea with me and get to know me. They just see you on the road, they see a sticker, and you have triggers. And triggers are very much a reality today. They're even worse. And I've watched videos, I keep myself aware that road rage is on the increase. I don't want to be caught up in that. There's a couple things that I tell myself. A man's got to know his limitations. Number one, I cannot change people. Oh, I try. Now you're going to turn in front of that car and block the whole intersection. That's awesome. That's beautiful. That's another thing you learn. People can't wait their turn, and they're adults. And they give them the right to vote. If you can't drive your car, if you can't use turn signals, if you can't wait your turn, you should not be allowed to vote. I really firmly believe that. You're going to tell me that you're a good, knowledgeable voter when you can't operate a motor vehicle? I'm going to call you a liar. And even in Colorado, I'd see Trump supporters in 4x4s driving like idiots with the bumper stickers all across the back. I'm like, dude, bruh. And those same people are commenting on what I'm wearing. What I'm doing is not a danger to anybody. It really isn't. Nobody's going to get killed because I'm wearing a handmade tube top. Nobody. I got a greater chance of being killed by an idiot motorist than I do by somebody wearing this kind of a shirt. Now, if I'm looking at a woman dressed like this, yeah, I can take my eyes off the road and do myself in. I know a guy that did that in the school bus in Duluth. He saw a college gal walking out of the university who's driving the bus and giraffe-necked all the way around and plowed in the back of another car. Like, yep, that look will get you in trouble when you're driving. I still laugh. Mark Zuckerberg is at the inauguration. What? Why did Trump invite Bezos and Zuckerberg? They were pro-Democrat all the way. And people say, well, you keep your enemies close. Really? Is that what it was? I would have invited those clowns to me. I'd be like, they're not coming in here. They're not on my team. And he was giraffe-necking Jeff Bezos' fiance. You getting tired of your Asian lady, Zuck? Well, what's going on here? I hate this. When you got a curve in front of you and you got to yield to a turn. This is fun. I should have turned the camera around and showed you the high school with the dang prison guard tower in front of it. Even the kids on the bus said that. This looks like a prison, man. I said, it probably is. All right, folks, we're going to cut this. I'll lose signal when I go to the store and they play music, which will end up muting it out. Is that a snake? No, it's a bag. It's getting hot enough. Got to watch for the snakes now. Especially at my job when I'm walking to containers surrounded by 4 foot of weeds, and you're like, great. We just have rattlers and cottonmouths here. No biggie. you're in your car, don't know how to drive. Wow, it's getting hot already. Cold in the morning, hot in the day. So funny, everybody fights to park closest to the front of the store. I park all the way out. It's easier to get in and out. All right, folks, I'm living proof. For those of you who say, do you go out in public like that? Yep. Some stare, some don't. Some compliment it. Some will laugh just as I'm walking past, but quietly so. It's fun. It's a confidence builder. Do you believe what you believe, or do you hide it when the others are looking? Did we lose signal? Did we lose it? Lose it? Let's get a thumbs up if people can still hear me. Anybody? See if the signal still worked. Maybe it's off. But if anybody can hear me, have an awesome day.